Listen to that. That's new. Okay, good afternoon. It is just now afternoon, so we're going to get this show on the road
I
here.
don't know if I can help you find anything or answer any questions.
Oh, we need to mute Jonathan. Okay, so hello, I'm Jessie Perkins, and I'm coming to you live from the Bethel Area Chamber of Commerce on this hot early summer day. Thank you for taking some time to tune into this 7th edition of the Lunchbox Zoom series with the Mahoosuc Sustainable Tourism Committee. Please, if you're not speaking, make sure you're on mute so we don't pick up your background noise, and also know that this session is being recorded. Hold on, I'm trying to change my views around here. Okay, I'd like to sound out a special welcome to those of you who may be plugging in for the very first time. It's been a couple of months since we last caught up, so there's a lot to talk about today. And if you need catching up behind the scenes, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll connect you to whoever we need to connect you to. So here's an overview of today's schedule. The Mahoosuc Way Pledge has been out there since almost the beginning of the year. And meanwhile, a lot of people and organizations have been working on projects related to our 5 pillars of sustainable tourism. The pillars were the result of lots of research and discussion that happened throughout our Community Destination Academy and our Tourism Summit back in January 2020. The intent has always been to start with the momentum that's already occurring, so that's what we're going to catch up on today. So here's the agenda. It's pretty tight, but we'll do the best we can. And I will post this in the chat when we get through with going over it here. So we'll start with some recent successes and updates, including thanks to our new embracers, Earth Day, and how we're leading the way with David Beurle. Some other ongoing initiatives, so engaging with Mahoosuc Way sustainable tourism pillars. We'll talk about some environmental leadership, Mahoosuc Land Trust, Kirk Siegel, enhancing the visitor experience with Jake Burgess of Inland Woods and Trails. Then move into regional collaboration with the Mahoosuc Broadband Committee, and Vern Maxfield will speak there. And then some workforce development ideas and programs with the University of Maine 4-H Camp and Learning Center at Bryant Pond, and that will be Ryder Scott. And then we'll move into a few minutes of summer ideas for and strategies for not loving our region to death. And that will include some words from Kirk from Mahoosuc Land Trust, and then encouraging everyone again to take the pledge with Kat Ingraham. And we'll try to wrap all that up by 12:30 and then move into 15 minutes or so of Q&A. And yeah, then we will try to do this about once a month. So we'll do some deeper dives on these pillars throughout the summer. So, okay, as I will paste this into the chat, but as I do that, I want to hand it off to Kat Ingraham to say thanks to our... What's that? Oh, I think I flipped something somewhere along the line. So let's go with Amy Halsted. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm going to need to do this kind of quickly with all that ground we have to cover. But let's just say this, when I was 11 years old was the first Earth Day in 1970. And I haven't stopped working on Earth Day since. In that first year, I was handing out buttons, which was great. But let me tell you, I am never so proud or grateful as to live in this region with what we do with Earth Day. So many of you probably know Earth Day is now actually Earth Week. But here in the Mahoosuc region, it's Earth Month. So we had for a month a series of real environmental leadership kinds of activities. So starting with the local food connection, we every year put together a flyer on behalf of the community of all the things that are going on in the community. So this year, Bethel Conservation Commission did their Green Up Days. The Mahoosuc Land Trust had a series of webinars and tours and activities at Valentine Farm. Take Action Bethel met at Davis Park to do cleanup. The GEM did their science on screen, as well as a talk with CB. The Woodstock Conservation Committee also had their Green Up Days. So this super well-rounded care for Mother Earth. And there was a lot of engagement online, on social media. This is the Mahoosuc way. So I think that we can all be super proud about what we do here. And just know this falls under our environmental leadership umbrella. So all of you who want to work on that, just get in touch with me, Barbara Barrett, or Barbara Murphy. Thanks so much to all of us.
Yeah, great job and an amazing collaborations. Okay, Kat.
Thank you, Jessie, and thank you everyone who took a little time out of this hot day to join us for lunch. My name is Catherine, or Kat Ingraham, and I am working in the area as the community coordinator to get the word out about the pledge, encourage people to sign it, and see what kind of next steps they may like to do. So for anyone new to us, and I see some new embracers here, so thank you for taking the pledge and for joining us today. The pledge is one part of a 5-part strategy to address some of the larger pillars that we'll be talking about briefly today, but in more depth throughout the course of the summer. It was created as a way to convey some of the local values about land use and share those with visitors so we can help mitigate some of the stress put on our natural resources and we'll get into this a little bit later, to stop loving our place to death. So I just wanted to say thank you and welcome to you all, and encourage you to help us spread the word about the pledge, ask your friends to sign it, share some things on social media. And we have all of those resources on the website, mahoosucway.com, for you to do so. If you have any other questions, I'm around. Feel free to reach out to me. I can stick my email in the chat.
Right, and we'd love to see both individuals and organizations, businesses, municipalities, everybody taking that pledge. Thank you, Kat. David, are you out there?
Yes, here I am. Hello.
Excellent. Well, look at your cool background.
Well, that's just to cover up my dirty hotel room. So.
Okay, well, it's working. How are we leading the way here, David?
Yeah, look, I'm really glad I had a little chance just to talk about this, right? So, because you said, Jessie, about that, the pledge has sort of been out there since the start of the year, right? But I think it's worth remembering that this is really at least 1.5 years in progress, right? So the Community Destination Academy, was the precursor to it. So there's been a lot of thinking go on. And it's really fascinating to me because I look at kind of macro trends, is the landscape around tourism and how destinations are thinking about managing tourism has shifted dramatically in that 18 months. And it's not just the pandemic, right? This is an accelerating trend. And I was saying to a couple of people here the other day that I was just looking at, in fact, we put in a bid on a project for Jackson Hole, Teton County, right? So that's an absolute iconic destination. But Sedona is doing the same thing, which is where they're now instructing their destination marketing organizations to pivot from marketing about attracting people to focus almost exclusively on impact management. And so that's a leading trend. And once you get major destinations doing that, you can be for sure that this is a domino effect, right? And my point in this is that you guys are at least 1.5 years ahead of the curve, right? Now, I think that's both an opportunity to sort of draw some attention and resources, right? But it's also an opportunity to contribute back, right? So, but it does say you're on the right direction, right? Because 1.5 years ago, you probably would not have thought that you'd see massive destinations like that, and Park City's doing the same thing as well. They're pivoting to sustainable tourism, right? So my point is that all points to that you guys are absolutely in the sweet spot of figuring out how to take control of your own destination and how to think about reforming the relationship between you as residents and the visitors who are part of your local economy.
Thank you very much, David. And we certainly couldn't have come this far without you. So it's really important to keep ourselves in that perspective. I too am grateful that we've started this conversation a while ago, and now here we are. So thank you. We'll keep moving right along here. So let's talk about some examples of what's going on in our pillar categories. And I did post in the chat a specific page on mahoosucway.com where the pillars themselves are listed. So if you want to follow along and read along, that's a good place to go. So we will go right ahead with, let's see, Kirk Siegel, talking about environmental leadership.
Thanks, Jessie, and thank you, David. The impact management that you talk about, I mean, and how we are ahead. I think what you all have done, and a little bit of we, but I really feel like it's mostly you, and I'm a little bit of a latecomer to the game, but in helping us think about in advance of this year with the pillars, it just has put us in a frame of mind where when we see things now, we have a new lens. And with environmental leadership, to look at that category, when we've had meetings with the Friends of the Androscoggin and our stewardship people who are concerned about overuse at the boat landings on the Androscoggin. And so, out of that conversation came, well, we really should have more porta potties at the Gilead and Newt's Landing boat landings. Well, there are trash issues, and so we've started to pull together different outfitters who are contributing to the cost of porta potties. Jeff Parsons from Bethel Outdoor Adventure says, I'll bring a trash can out, and Sport Thomas says, well, we'll empty the trash can at our dumpster every week. So, how much of this we can say comes directly out of the 5 pillars and all the great work that you all have done, it's a little hard to say, but I know for me, it's created a new lens, a new way of looking at things. And out of that same discussion with the outfitters about the river, then we reached out, Steve White reached out to Kat about getting Mahoosuc Way signs on some of the kiosks at the canoe landings. So I don't know, it's gone from abstract to really real. And then, for me, as I've been out and Kat has given me some advice on my social media posts, but when I see orange peels on the top of Caribou Mountain the other morning, and I posted on social media and I tag Mahoosuc Way, I'm just trying to figure out how to do that effectively and be part of the solution. And so anyway, just a few thoughts and really happy we have such an engaged group here.
That's great news about your partnerships with these outfitters, because I think it's a small, but all in metaphorically huge partnership between the nonprofits and the businesses, and just sort of general awareness of everybody's in this together. That's great. So we've asked Jake Burgess up next with Inland Woods and Trails, and part of enhancing the visitor experience and making sure everybody has a place to go is actually adding capacity to some of our trail networks. So Jake's here to talk about that today. Take it away, Jake.
Cool. Thank you, Jessie. Hi, everyone. I'm Jake Burgess. I'm the, like Jessie said, I'm the trail steward for Inland Woods and Trails. We're a nonprofit that currently builds different types of trails for different types of activities, from multiple use to some of our hiking trails in our community forest in Bethel, Mount Will hiking trails, and some of our mountain bike trails as well, like Bethel Village Trails, Bacon Hill, and whatnot. So my pillar that I'm focusing on talking today and what Inland Woods and Trails is doing is specifically on visitor experience. And like what Jessie was mentioning, especially last year, we saw more and more people, and that's just going to keep going up, that want to get outside. And so it sucks when folks get to the parking area and it's full and they can't go. So actually, to build our visitor experience, one of the things that we can do, that we're trying to do, is just to quantify the amount of trails that we're building, and not only build more and more trails so that we can have folks go and have multiple options once they are recreating, but also to kind of create a intertwining system. So for example, we have, like I mentioned, the community forest off of the North Road in Bethel. And we have a few hiking trails and biking trails there already, but we are expanding our community forest that's going to be in another parcel just down the road on the North Road. It actually was recently ranked the #1 project by the Forest Service for this year. And so one of the things that we're focusing on with that system is just building more trails. So we already have a new hiking trail there already. And in the future, we want to try to connect the systems on the North Road, make pathways out to Sunday River, which has its own summer system, and then multiple use pathways, bike trails, hike trails, all the way to Mount Abram as well. So kind of quantifying the amount of trails that we have so that folks have options, but also connecting them so that folks can get to where they want to go to from different ways. Yeah, that's just some of the things that we're focusing on now. Visitor experience, giving folks options, and getting all the trails connected. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jake. Jake's out there building trails every day, and one of the things that we want to be able to encourage is if people get to a trailhead that's already seems too busy, what are the options? So we are really in a unique place where we're between Inland Woods and Trails and Mahoosuc Land Trust and other entities, we're able to actually keep adding capacity to meet these needs. I'm not sure that a lot of other locations have that ability. So thanks, Jake. Next, we'll move into an example of regional collaboration with the Mahoosuc Broadband Committee, and that's going to be Vern Maxfield. Are you out there, Vern?
Here I am.
There you are.
Thank you, Jessie. Glad to be here this afternoon. I am Vern Maxfield. I'm the town manager of Woodstock, which is the southern gateway to the Mahoosucs. Just wanted to say that having been part of the Community Destination Academy, which was a multi-town effort to properly describe and promote our region, it is great to see the towns working together. Many of us that were a part of the CDA have become involved with the Mahoosuc Community Broadband Committee, which I think is great. The committee includes representatives with varying skills from each town officials, residents, the MSAD IT director, parents of school children, retirees, and second homeowners, with the goal of bringing a more dependable and stronger internet service to our area. The move toward better broadband in our area had been presented to us by Mia Purcell prior to the CDA, and since the Academy, the move toward realization of the goal has become more tangible. The timing of the pandemic showed everyone how important connecting is to all of us. The newly developing working relationships with the area towns prompted a more engaging interest in pursuing support from the town citizens and residents. Residents were asked to do an internet speed test and report it back so that the data could be established. There was a very good turnout for this request. The committee presented the test results to the towns and county, and the boards of selectmen and the Oxford County Commissioners have all contributed funds to kickstart the survey of how many actually have internet service in our area. This process will allow us to apply for grant funds to begin the long process of having our area better served. With more and more people moving to the area and working from home, better internet service is a must for us to be the place people choose to live and work and vacation. It is appearing to me that the joining of forces of our towns, townships, and the county is working to improve our area both with inter-town communications and the desire to work together to accomplish our goals. And the work of the Broadband Committee, I think, is a great example of what the Community Destination Academy was intended to accomplish. Thank you.
Thanks, Vern. I think this is another perfect example of something that we're so glad we started this conversation a couple years ago, at least now, because it's really come to the forefront with the pandemic. So when people were working, going to school from home, and enormous amounts of money raining down from the state and federal government. So,
and wait a minute, I have to say something because this
Sure.
is a thing between me and Vern. Vern, you are just the man to do the broadband in that TV set. You've not really looked at the framing of Vern's picture. Please do.
Vern, next time you should walk outside and do your Zoom from next to your giant phone statue, and then it'll really get the point across how far you've come.
I'll keep that in mind. From being the last hand crank phone service in the country to broadband. Here we go.
Oh my goodness, see, you're just so good with the taglines. That's perfect. Yes. Oh yeah, we're gonna use that for sure. Okay. All right, let's go just a little ways down the road to the University of Maine 4-H camp in Bryant Pond. Ryder Scott, take it away with your workforce development programs.
Thanks, Jessie. So I'm going to share a quick little slide deck here. Move you all out of the way so I can, here we are. So good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to chat with you all. See a lot of familiar faces and old friends and some new folks. So I'll just introduce myself quickly. I'm Ryder Scott. I'm the Executive Director of the 4-H Camp and Learning Centers for UMaine Cooperative Extension. We have 4 centers all across the state. But I am talking to you today from my home base, which is beautiful Lake Christopher and Bryant Pond. So University of Maine only has a couple of assets at all in Oxford County, one of which is the Cooperative Extension Office in Oxford County and the 4-H Center here at Bryant Pond. So a number of years ago, well, it was in 2017, the provost of the university asked me if we would be interested in starting an early college program. The idea behind this was that we would start to offer 4-credit early college courses to high school students through the University of Maine. One of the reasons we were identified and asked to participate in this is that Oxford County is a kind of a desert when it comes to higher education. We lag behind the state and the nation in higher education attainment. Our rate of adults with a bachelor's degree, adults over 24 with a bachelor's degree is about 18% compared to 28% statewide. So, and at the same time, as this group all well knows, recreation and tourism are strong emerging sectors in the region, and kids are growing up in a beautiful place and many times don't see careers in the outdoors as a viable option. The broader context of all this, since she was elected, Governor Mills published her economic development plan. This was pre-COVID, but it's all still relevant. She really points to the need for innovative strategies around workforce development in key sectors, including outdoor recreation. So with the support of the Maine West Initiative, the university secured a grant from the Northern Border Regional Commission. The goal of this award is to connect young people to higher education, to raise their aspirations for higher ed. To me, I don't say this necessarily to my university colleagues, but to me, that does not have to look like a 4-year degree at the University of Maine Orono. It can look like all different types of things, but degrees or credentials of value are clearly the gateway to sustainable careers. And then one of the things that I hear from parents in this region a lot is, well, if I send my child away to college, I'm never going to see them again because there are no jobs. Driving higher education and workforce development in the outdoor recreation and tourism industry is one way to foster meaningful place-based careers. So that if they choose to, some kids will go away and come home and visit mom on Christmas, and that's okay. But if they choose to, many young people, if we're successful with this, can decide to start businesses and have meaningful careers in recreation. I spoke about the Maine West Initiative just a little bit. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but this is our model for everything that we're talking about. It really starts with building those resilient skills at the elementary school level, but then you can see here in the 8-9 transition and then up through high school, our goal really is to raise aspirations for the future. And this is something that takes a real comprehensive approach. Yeah, so we, a couple of years ago, developed the outdoor leadership pathway. Since then, we've had 60 or so Oxford County students participate. Most of them from Oxford Hills High School, but we are expanding that. We are working with all of these students, not just to give them college credits through an early college class that they take, but also to give them some college and career counseling. Every single one of our students has visited the University of Maine campus. And so really it's about mentorship. The thing that makes a difference for rural kids in terms of raising their aspirations is not participation in a particular activity or earning a college credit in high school. It's having an adult in their corner that understands them and can help them set goals and move forward in life. I mentioned the Border Commission grant. Mike Wilson and I from the Northern Forest Center worked together over a couple of years to tweak and refine this proposal. It was successful last year, and really excited to say that we have 3 years worth of funding to expose at minimum of 60 new high school students in early college. We'll be providing innovation engineering training for those students. Cora Saul, who is an educational consultant that I work with a lot, says often that we can have the goal of that kids have the skills to have a job, or we can set the bar higher, and we can set the goal to be that they have the skills to start a business that then creates 10 jobs in their community. So that really is our goal with this, with the innovation engineering training. And then finally, we have resources and funding for training teachers to support meaningful workforce experiences. So for example, site visits to some of Inland Woods and Trails, trail development projects as one example. So I'm going to stop there, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, Ryder. I think it is important to note that, like things we've just discussed, increased stewardship and increasing the capacity of all our trails and things like this around this area will certainly need the increased need for human people to take care of all these things and build out all these plans. So that's great. Starting with you is a great spot. Thank you. Moving right along, can we talk to Kirk about some upcoming summer programming and stewardship strategies?
Yeah, I'll be very brief, Jessie, and really focus on one initiative. We received a pandemic grant and several $1,000s to hire a summer part-time staff person to be a recreational land steward. And it came out directly out of last summer's very crowded parking lots, especially Step Falls, which is our most popular property. And so we have a job posted, a part-time job. Hopefully you've all seen it somewhere. We're getting a little response, but we could really use some more applicants. So if anyone knows a young person who would, or person of any age actually, who's interested in being that visitor engagement, and our busiest property is Step Falls. One of the things we're hoping to have come out of that experience is actually a report on the reflections of the person working there, getting to know people, and getting a good handle on the situation, with recommendations for how to make it more sustainable, and especially with respect to the cost. We won't get an emergency pandemic grant next year. It's a one-shot deal. How do we create sustainable streams of income to deal with the increased management and stewardship burdens that we are going to have? So that's a big nut for us to crack this year. And hopefully at the end of the summer we can report out on how are we able to do this. I'm sure Jake and Inland Woods and Trails are looking at the same thing. But yeah, that's about the extent of my update today. happy to answer questions at that part of the program.
The difference between having a person and not having a person whose job that is the difference, right? Someone, yeah, and I can say that Inland Woods and Trails has been talking about those types of strategies as well. Thanks, Kirk. Kat, want to give one last encouraging of everyone to take the pledge and share the pledge?
Thank you. Again, thanks everyone for coming. I think the majority of people who joined us today have already taken the pledge, but please encourage your friends, family, and neighbors to do so. Kurt's posts were great, so don't worry about, the language so much. We have some examples on the website available for people to use, as well as some images. So please take the pledge, please share the pledge. And if you have any questions, we have an executive committee. I think everyone who's on that executive committee is here on the call, but Mike, Jessie, Amy Scott, Amy Halsted, David Beurle, Barbara Barrett's missing, but any one of us are available for questions. And also there is a larger group of folks involved with some partners, all the town managers, larger businesses in the area. So it's a real collaborative effort. And I just want to acknowledge all of them and thank them for being here today.
And we can print posters at will, and stickers are on their way, and working on signage for a lot of these trailheads. So if you have any ideas of that type of stuff that you want for your business or ways to share that, please reach out to Kat or me. And I am happy to connect any of you with anybody else here. If you need some contact information or further information, please, Jessie@bethelmaine.com I'm pretty easy to find that way. And so that really brings our organized program to a close. We know that you have a busy day, so if you need to sign off, please go ahead. But if you want to stick around for some Q&A, discussion, etc., we'll keep things going for another 15 minutes or so. If I may put a couple people on the spot, we do have, I see on my screen, Marianne Borowski and Bob Holdsworth, who I know are involved with a specific project that maybe a lot of you don't know about. So if I may put one or both of you on the spot, would you mind sharing what you're involved with?
Yeah, I can do it.
Sure.
Yeah, the Cross New Hampshire Adventure Trail. It's probably, I think it's the third year right now. What it is an 83-mile route that starts at the Connecticut River in Woodsville and travels through 11 communities in New Hampshire and 2 right now in Maine. So it's the 2 in Maine are Gilead and Bethel. Currently it ends at the Davis Park in Bethel at the end of the Little Rip Path. We do have plans in the works to take it further, to try to join it with the East Coast Greenway. The whole idea is connectivity. The idea behind this started because I like long distance bike riding, and I've traveled all over the place doing it. And I thought, well, we need that here. A route that people would, not just do a little day trip, although they can, but have a destination, go across the state and go further. It's a continuation of the Cross Vermont Trail, so I didn't think of this all myself. I copied it from them, and they were very encouraging. And I think their comment was that they enjoy seeing something, they enjoy seeing the trails end sign disappear. Instead of having trails end sign, their route just continues across New Hampshire. So one of the reasons why I like attending this and learning about tourism, sustainability, taking the pledge and all of that is that I'm pretty new at this, and the route is sort of new. It's gaining quite a bit of popularity and interest. And I think trying to learn as much as I can about this right now before the route gets, maybe gets some issues or some troubles, try to find out about these things, see what other people are doing, that we can incorporate this into our planning at this point. Like I said, we've kind of had a surge of people who are interested in doing this. There are people out there right now doing this of all ages. And like I said before, they can do the whole thing or they can do little parts and pieces. And your area in Bethel is an important place for us. It's right now, it's a starting point, it's an ending point. There's lodging, there's food, brewery, ice cream, all of that. And a place to even, maybe take a day and do some kayaking. So it's a perfect place at this point to have on this multi-state route.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Sometimes New Hampshire is so close, and yet I think we often are so much more connected with Maine, even though all of New Hampshire is closer than most of Maine, is how I usually put it. And New Hampshire is really skinny, so you can do this whole trail in like 3 days. People park here in our parking lot and give us all the updates. So it's definitely a growing thing, and one that I'm not sure that most people know about. So thanks for that update, and please feel free
Thank
to
you.
stay tuned. Anyone else have any issues to raise, questions, concerns? I see Kirk stand. Go ahead.
This may be kind of a silly question, but do we have the ability to measure outreach efforts and how many people are reached through all the efforts to raise awareness?
Kat has some very extraordinary spreadsheets. Kat, you maybe share some of your strategies, or Mike, go ahead, either way.
I would offer, in addition to kind of Kat's definitely building systems to track exactly how many people, who's taken the pledge, what businesses are connected, all that kind of thing. So we can track that really well. And through the Northern Forest Center, we actually have a graduate fellow who will be working with us this summer, and a good chunk of her work is going to be taking a really hard look at this work that we're doing with the Mahoosuc Way and the Embrace Our Place Pledge, and a related program that we run called through Bike Borderlands called the Ride with Gratitude, which is a similar pledge initiative. So we're going to actually have some staff time this summer to do some analysis, some research, to actually do surveys, interviews with people who have engaged with the pledge or who haven't. And as a way to actually gather some data and both some quantifiable but qualitative feedback on how people are perceiving this. Is it impacting behaviors, that type of thing. So that work plan is in development right now, but she's actually starting with us on June 7th. So we'll have some added capacity to go specifically at that issue this summer, Kirk.
Yeah, that's the in-depth stuff. But Kat has been keeping track of the number of people taking the pledge, been going out to visit businesses and towns. And it's actually, if I may speak for you, Kat, like a lot of people, a lot of organizations are starting to meet in person again, and that may make it a lot easier to hand the piece of paper around the room and say, sign this. So
yeah, some of those measurables from the community too are, right now web-based. So if you share the link to the Mahoosuc Way on your personal webpage or on your business webpage, I'm trying to track that, but I don't necessarily know unless we are looking for it that it's there. So, if you're interested in getting some collateral or sharing any of the web links and images, just let me know if you need a hand doing that. I'm happy to help.
And
Amy.
also, if anybody's having any trouble getting it on their website, you can reach out to me and I can probably walk you through, depending what platform you're on, we can get it on your site and we need it on your site. Thank you.
thanks, Amy. Any other questions, concerns, new topics? I see a few of our speakers today have shared their contact information in the chat. So again, feel free to reach out. Anyone else? Mike, do you want to say just a word about how we're inspiring the Rural Tourism Academy?
Well, yeah. I'll say again, I put this in the chat, but again, based on the work that we've been doing here in Maine, again, in partnership with the Maine Office of Tourism, and a nod to Donna Moreland, who's here with us today. I was the Maine Office of Tourism's Destination Development Specialist, and has been a real key kind of architect for a lot of this work. As a regional organization, we're starting to bring some of the similar thinking and the same type of work that we did in the Mahoosuc area with the Community Destination Academy into New Hampshire and Vermont, where again, they're dealing with very, very similar issues. And again, following up on David's point, we've had a couple of sessions, virtual sessions this past spring, and it's really, really striking how kind of quickly ready those communities, that the people we were talking to in those states were to to really dive into thinking about this destination management question. So again, it kind of reiterates David's point that he made at the beginning, where there's a shift. And again, I think from our vantage point, it's a constructive shift that we're really thinking about tourism, not just as this mass, like how many people can we get here, really how do we think about the tourism economy as a sustainable driver of our local economies and quality of life. So again, I think, like we've said, Mahoosuc is a couple steps ahead on this, and I think there's an opportunity to stay ahead, but also an opportunity to potentially be a resource, make some of these connections with adjacent communities.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else today? If not, I will say thank you very much for coming. Again, we'll try to do this about once a month, and we do want to continue to organize around these pillars and do some deeper dives into that. So look forward to more information. Our executive committee continues to meet pretty much weekly, and then our overall committee meets monthly. So for those of you who are on that, we'll meet again on June 4th.
Jessie, do we publicize, or we put the recording on our Facebook page? There's also a really good chat, so all these contacts. So
yeah, yep. So yes, I have recorded this, and I will post this on the Bethel Area Chambers YouTube page, and it's a great idea to share it from the Mahoosuc Way Facebook page as well. So you can make sure to do that when it gets uploaded. So thanks for that reminder. Yeah, feel free to go back and watch all 7 of our Lunchbox Zooms if you're so inclined. So thank you all for joining us today. Hope you can stay cool this afternoon, and we'll see you on the trail somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessie. Great job.
Thank you.